The next morning, at the station. What should have been a lovely early spring morning is dampened by a gray sky flecked with dark storm clouds. A mist of rain hangs in the air. The sun seems to be trying its best, but its morning rays barely make it past the barrier of cloud. I shake myself off as I step inside the station, the moisture sinking into my coat. At least I don't have to wear a uniform anymore. That itchy material soaked up rain like a sponge. Getting to wear what I like is certainly a major perk of the job. I usually wear a bright cardigan over a nice summer dress. Even if it's a bit chilly in early spring, I think it helps make me more approachable to the people I have to deal with. I yank off my coat and head to my office, being the first one in as usual. Or at least, so I thought. I pause in the doorway to find Unit Bravo already gathered inside, strewn about the room in the same positions they'd taken up the day before. Nate smiles in greeting as I enter. "Good morning, Detective." I glance over the group, then at the clock, then back at the group. "You're all here early." "We don't sleep much," Farah replies, her words spoken with more amusement than seems necessary. Nate lets out a heavy sigh in the chair next to her. I move further into my office, hanging my jacket up and then taking a seat. "Did you find anything at the warehouse?" Nate shifts forward in his seat. "Well, we thought—" "No." Adam's strong reply cuts through whatever Nate had been about to say. Nate's head whips around to face his leader, a frown creasing his dark brows together. I watch the odd, silent exchange pass between the pair. Uncertainty tugs at me. The question was not exactly hard to answer. My attention flickers to Farah, noticing the gleeful smile quivering at the corners of her lips as she watches her colleagues glare at each other. I only return my focus to them when Nate turns away from Adam and sinks deeper into his seat. "As Adam said, we didn't find anything." I fold my arms across my chest, flicking my gaze between the two before dropping it to the papers on my desk. Something was definitely weird about that exchange. Whether it was just egos clashing or something more, I'm not sure. I purse my lips, pushing the thought to the back of my mind. For now, I have to keep focused on the case, which will be more difficult if they're hiding things. Well, we still need to find the actual murder site. She definitely wasn't killed where she was found, I say. Was it the same with the other murders he's committed? Yes, Nate replies, this time not interrupted by his brooding leader. Adam is once more staring out the window. I let out a long breath, looking down at my notepad. It is painfully empty of clues or notes. Were any of the victims from the same location? A throaty, slightly condescending laugh erupts from Morgan. Their locations meant nothing. Once again, her words are softened by an accent I can't place. Maybe hearing it more would help me narrow it down, but the idea of striking up a conversation with the woman now glaring at me through a wall of smoke makes me wonder if she's even capable of more than 2 words in a sentence. Of all of them, Morgan has been the least sociable, which is saying something compared to Adam. My focus is pulled back to the room as Nate speaks again. "The previous victims came from all over," Nate explains. "That's an understatement," Farah replies. "We're talking worldwide." She spreads her arms out in emphasis. I frown at the revelation. Someone who goes to that extreme must have a reason. Nobody would travel that much just to kill random people. "A good point, Detective," Nate comments before throwing a stare at Adam, who completely ignores it. Farah suddenly gives a chuckle, seeming to be lost in thought. "At least it's meant we've gotten to go to some interesting places in search of him. Remember Alaska?" She chortles. Morgan did not do well in the cold. The comment receives a grumble from Morgan in the corner. But there weren't as many humans in Alaska, so that helped cheer her up a little. "Not many humans?" I ask, cocking my head to one side at the strange word choice. A heavy quiet descends over the room, broken only by Farah letting out a strained chuckle. "Oh, not many people." She throws a sheepish look at Adam, whose features are furrowed into a tight knot. A knock from the door makes us all look up to find Tina standing in the doorway. A worried frown lines her face, her shoulders hunched. My thoughts of the conversation are quickly pushed away by concern. "Hey, Celeste, can I talk to you for a moment?" she asks, clutching the door to keep her balance. I give a nod. Something is obviously wrong. Standing from my place, I glance back over the group before moving out of the office and shutting the door. Inside the office. Not many humans, Nate splutters. What's wrong with you? With all the slip-ups you make, you're damn lucky people don't believe in vampires. Farah holds up her hands in innocence. Look, I'm sorry, but the detective makes it easy to get comfortable. I just forgot. Adam lets out a long groan. He spreads his hands on the desk, closing his eyes to breathe through the tension making his shoulders knot. Going to your happy place, Adam? Farah asks, to which Adam slams his fist down so hard the edge of the desk splinters. They all stare at the damage. Adam groans again, rubbing his hands over his face. We should just tell her the truth, Nate says suddenly, gaining the brunt of Adam's full, annoyed attention. What? Nate shrugs. Celeste obviously makes us feel at ease, so it's possible she'd take the news just as easily. Secrets never end well. Yeah, Farah adds, because that's the only reason you want to tell her. What? Adam barks out the question. Farah glances between them. Well, Farah jerks a finger towards Nate, hopes that if we tell Celeste, she'll swoon into his arms like they do in those vampire movies. Isn't that right, Natey? Nate folds his arms across his chest, brushing off the sting of annoyance at the nickname. For someone who's been alive as long as you have, you sure do act like a hormone-driven teenager. Farah simply grins in reply. Adam shakes his head, ignoring Farah's interruption. We're not telling her anything. I agree, Morgan adds from her place, hidden beside the filing cabinet. She's still puffing on a cigarette. It has burned down so low it's almost singeing the vampire's fingers. She'll just become even more of an annoyance. If we have to work together, it's better if everything is out in the open, Nate says, ignoring Morgan. But we're not working together, Adam explains. Our mission is to keep her away from the killer, not aid her in an investigation which will lead her right towards the killer. He speaks the words slowly through gritted teeth. Nate stands from his place. A mission we could do a lot better with her full cooperation. Their glares hold for a long moment. Farah is obviously once again enjoying the crackle of tension pouring off of them, her grin widening. You're too soft with the humans, Nate, Adam finally says, the words spoken as a half-insult. He eventually turns away, any hostility with his oldest friend making him uneasy. We have a job to do. We protect the detective without her knowing anything. Nate opens his mouth to protest, but Adam holds up a hand to stop him. That is an order. Humans aren't going away, Nate replies, his tone quiet, not liking to argue with his friend either. You'll have to deal with that fact eventually. I have no care that they're not going away, and I will do my utmost to protect them from what they don't know. Adam shakes his head, his tension only tightening. But that doesn't mean I have to like them. And with those words, he strides out of the office with heavy steps. With Tina at the front desk. I follow Tina to the front desk, where she leans heavily against the counter and runs her fingers through her curled hair. We're alone, since Douglas usually doesn't arrive until, well, whenever he feels like it. Kate Hayes rang the station this morning, worried for Garrett, Tina explains, biting at her bottom lip. Her son? I ask in surprise. Kate, being the only dentist in town, is usually run off her feet. To help her out, Garrett has often spent his time after school at the station until she can collect him. Usually it's Tina who keeps him company, helping him with his homework or teaching him the ropes. From the little I've interacted with him, he seems sensible and nice enough. He didn't come home last night. What if something happened? Tina flicks her worried gaze up to meet mine, her voice choking in her throat. With a psycho running around town? I place my hands on her arms and meet her eye. We'll find him, Tina. Don't worry. She attempts a smile, but it doesn't really work. I just hate the idea of him out there alone with a killer on the loose. I know. So do I. This time she does brighten a little. Thank you, Celeste. We both flinch as the phone on the desk gives a shrill ring. Tina lets out a sudden relieved breath at the sound. Oh, it must be Kate. She said she'd ring back as soon as Garrett turned up. She reaches for the phone. I turn away, thankful the situation was resolved before it became something much worse. Heading back to my office, I shake my head, staring at the ground. With what's happened, it's no wonder this town is on high alert over every small thing. My thoughts come to an abrupt halt as I crash into someone storming out of the doorway of my office. I stumble back, feeling more like I collided with a brick wall than a person. Regaining my balance, I glance up, finding Adam staring at me in genuine surprise. He quickly straightens himself out. I apologize. I wasn't paying attention. I brush my cardigan down and then nod. I wasn't either. Sorry. With stiff apologies made, silence falls over us once again. Adam's frown returns. He turns to avoid my gaze, his focus shifting to look over the station. I arch a brow when his nose wrinkles, as though smelling something unpleasant. You really don't want to be here, do you? It's a moment before I realize I spoke the question aloud. He's quick to reply. We are here now, so it's more a question of dealing with it rather than liking it. You know, I begin, half smiling, it's not so bad here. Maybe it'll grow on you. Like a tumor, you mean? I frown at his reply, though when I glance up, I find he's actually smiling. Suddenly, I can't tell whether he's mocking me or joking with me. The thought is ripped from my mind when there's a sudden clatter at the front desk. Celeste, Tina calls. I turn. Her normally rosy skin has paled to a ghostly white, the phone gripped tightly in her hand. There's been another murder,